Good evening, everybody. My name is Al Menchaca. Thank you for joining me on my persuasive speech. Today we're going to be talking about turbos are the only way to go. Boost your way across the finish line. Out of the top 10 fastest laps on Germany's notoriously difficult Nürburgring track, 6 of those vehicles are turbocharged. That's right. This is a very difficult track. A lot of top-end car companies come here to test their best vehicles, and it's so difficult that up to date for the year of 2018, there have been 81 accidents involving tourists, with 81 accidents where 2 people have died, 18 were seriously injured, and 43 minor injuries. There's plenty of turns, high-speed cornering. It's the perfect place to test your car, and also to test which is better, turbochargers or superchargers. Turbochargers, though, are the absolute best bang for your buck. Nowadays, there's so much to choose from when it comes to boosting your engines, so why not choose the absolute best? Turbos. Boosting your engine with a turbo will yield greater results to make you push your engine to its limits and boost your way across the finish line. A little bit of history, a little bit of how it works. Turbos, they use heats from the engine. Right here, we got ourselves an engine mock-up right here. You got your cold side, got your hot side. And as the engine is reciprocating coming up and down, it's expelling hot gases. Those hot gases get directed through the exhaust and into the aft end of the turbo, known as the turbine. Spins a little wheel. The extra exhaust goes out your muffler. The common shaft compresses fresh air coming in through the intake, shoots it through the intercooler and back into the engine. It's important to know this because this engine, if you can see right here, this little area, that's the displacement of the engine. That's where all the power is going to come from. If you can push more air into this little cylinder, you get more power. It becomes faster, puts down all the good stuff. Turbos were invented by Gerhard Schweitzer, and he earned his patent in 1905, is known as the father of turbochargers. He is a pretty big deal. Now, to give you a compare and contrast, here's a supercharger. These two go head and head all the time. Superchargers are typically top mounted. This bottom part right here, this is the engine. It uses the crankcase or the crankshaft to power this or spin this pulley. Uses a belt, comes up here, spins a little shaft. This is a screw type version. Compresses the air, pushes more air into the engine. Sucks it, compresses it, pushes it down. Now this right here already is limiting, just looking at it. Because it can only go as fast as this crankshaft is willing or able to move. With turbos, as long as there's a constant flow of air, turbos will just keep on spinning, which is always having readily available power. So even just from the mock-up here, you can tell it's already being limited. It's going to be very difficult to get any higher or more air than this engine's really able to put out. So, understanding turbos and superchargers. Recap of compare and contrast from where we're at. Turbos use expended gases from engine exhaust to develop power. Superchargers use engine crankshafts. On the other hand, as well, turbochargers can produce more air than the engine can produce, meaning it doesn't matter the size of the engine, it can always push more air into it. Superchargers can only use the RPM range of the engine from the crank, limiting the supercharger and the amount of boost it can get. So a little comparison for y'all to look over. RPM range, this is the internal shaft of this, the turbocharger, 50,000 to 250,000 RPMs. That is not a typo. That's the real stuff. That's how it's able to get more air into it. Vice the supercharger, typical range is only 20,000 to 150,000 RPMs. So just from looking at the numbers, bam, bam, you already know which one's winning, right? So, and then, you know, we reiterated some of this again. Turbos need exhaust, but it's important that it's hot to keep these fins spinning. Supercharger needs to be driven by a crank. Turbos can give any amount of air needed for any application. So if your engine is too small, not a problem. Just get a small turbo and a big turbo. Thus, you get a sequential turbo setup. You got a little baby turbo coming off right here. That's going to spin really fast. Get this bigger one to spin even more, and now you got even more power than what this little engine was able to produce. Superchargers, very difficult to get that type of configuration going. Superchargers can be huge and they look great. Yeah, this looks awesome. But this bad boy right here, quad turbo Bugatti with the top speed, 261 miles per hour, because you can fit it all into the bonnet. So in conclusion, whether it's dominating the top 10 at Germany's Nürburgring, giving you more bang for your buck, making more airs off of turbos, or looking sleek while hitting high speeds, turbos are the way to go. Turbos are the smart and sensible way to go about making big power gains for y'all's engines. Questions? All right. Well, thank y'all for coming out. Thank you for those tuning in tonight. Have a wonderful evening.